Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. These video games were released at some time in November 1982, 42 years ago today. And we were last in the arcade playing Millipede. Imagine when Millipede was brand new. I actually want to re-rate a few of the games we played last time, including Millipede. I said it was 4.5. After playing it over and over again, I could see Centipede is the real winner here, after everything that's been copied, and Millipede is a 4 for all the games in the arcade. And as far as Meteors, this is a very well done Asteroids clone for home computers, and I said 3.5. After playing it over and over again, they did match pretty much the buttons that you would play on the keyboard of the BBC Micro, so I'm popping it up to a 4 of all the games you could play across all home computers. And now let's press forward to see our next game. It's time to play on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. This is Missile Command. Missile Command! Obviously it's not an official one. Here's the box for Missile Command. This is our 128th game we played on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and it's part of the Spectrum Arcade Pack. You can see it right there with City Bomber, Polecat, Breakout, all these other fun games. Or at least, it's one of those compilation packs. This is by C-Tech. It is the third game that we've seen by them, including one of the games that was a compilation of Frogger plus Spec-Man. So I actually am not sure who did this one, but that's all we have as far as artwork, except I found another box, if this was if they had a standalone, or if this is a different Missile Command that was on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. Man, there's so many games on this system, so it wouldn't surprise me if this is not the same Missile Command. Yeah, that's it. All we have is the screenshot. On the front of the box, that's what it looked like too. Let's pop in and play some Missile Command by C-Tech in the beginning of November 1982. It already sounds like we're programming from 1982. So we got to use the number 1 key and then I, J, K, and M, which they used for developer keys. I think I got them. Ready? Skill level. Let's go with 3. And then that's it. We're in. Yes, I, J, K, and M. Move the cursor around. Oh man, the delay is real. The delay is real. It is so janky. Whoa, but it is Missile Command. Obviously, this is not official. Atari had no endorsement whatsoever. Look at this. It's so slow. It is barely responding, and I think I'm going to lose the city because, wow. And then we have complete destruction across the screen. It's playing tones, because why not? It's a Sinclair ZX Spectrum. I'm not really sure who did this one. However, it's with C-Tech, and it is a compilation, so it may have been Philip Nindrick. If it was, leave a comment down below and claim that you worked on this compilation. But I don't know for sure. But yeah, the controls are keyboard only, and I'm using the very chiclet, spongy ZX Spectrum keyboard. So, oh gosh, it's clunky. Oh, and they have the spread fire effect. That's crazy. This is what we would call a command shooter, and here on the show, this is our 41st command shooter. This is rough. This is pretty rough. Not only what you just see here, because the graphics are actually okay, it's because of how it responds. And because the hit detection for this, look at this. Where am I supposed to aim? Am I aiming here? Is that where it counts? Come on. Quick. Why didn't it destroy the missiles? It's Missile Command where you really don't know. Yes, maybe he doesn't want to claim this one. If it was Philip that's out there somewhere. So this one's obviously a Missile Command variant, a clone of it. This is the 19th Missile Command game that we played. Oof. It's one of the worst. I wouldn't know exactly if it's the worst of all the games we could play, because right now the worst on home computers is another one we played called Laser Attack on the TRS-80 Color computer, and Target Command for the VIC-20. So this is down there with one of the worst ones. Gosh, it's I can't. And then whenever you blow up, then everything just goes away. So you can tell this is part of a compilation. Yikes, there's the quick taste of Missile Command. I want official Missile Command. That's probably not going to come out for the ZX Spectrum for a long time. But they had the guts to call it Missile Command. Of all the games you could play right now across all the home computers, this is way, way low. I look over in the chat and I see 1. Yeah, I know, because the hit detection's so bad. So I actually got to go down to the broken range. Yeah, 1 star for Missile Command. It does function. The cursor key, the cursor kind of moves around. It doesn't use the cursor keys, but it kind of moves around, but it just feels stuck. It is, yeah, I was going to say maybe 1.5, but no, that'd be saying just bad. It's broken when you think of all the other Missile Command style games too. All right, with that, let's press forward to see our next game. We're still going to hang out in Europe and play Morse. This is on the Philips Videopac G7000. Here's the box for Morse. Oh, that kind of Morse. I got it. This is available in Europe, and this one did not come out for the Magnavox Odyssey 2 in North America. This was only in Europe. And the front of the box lets us know pretty much what you think. There's the cartridge we've seen for the Philips Videopac, the classic handle. When you want to yank the cartridge out, maybe you want to do it for this one. You can see it's got game modes 0 through 7, or you're going to be using the keyboard quite a bit for this. This is another one of those consoles that was really close to the release of the Atari. 1978 was when we first saw the Philips Videopac G7000. So this is a later release, but you know, then again, we're seeing lots of games for the Atari too. This is available in France as well as other parts of Europe. We're just going to go with just the European version and pop into play Morse. In the beginning of November 1982. It does use the joystick, but it only uses one button. It doesn't even use the digital part of the joystick. It's mostly keyboard. As you can see here, there's 4 different game types that can be selected from the menu screen. The first type is Morse code. This game is essentially a Morse code learning game. It's not an early childhood learning game. You could actually use this if you wanted to learn Morse code. The player selects the game speed of how fast the words are going to be coming across per minute and what level you're going to play on. The computer is going to play Morse signals for the first one, and then the player has to type in the signal. After the first 2 signals, the game starts properly by introducing a row of trees at the top of the screen, and an arrow is displayed near the 4th tree to the left. So what I'm going to do is go with game mode number 1, and you can see I want to go with speed 4. So I'm just using all of the keyboard, that membrane keyboard, and then we'll just do level 1. So did everyone get that? It was, I think, was that T? No, it was Q. Okay, so I should have called that. Dash, dash, dot, dash is Q. So would you consider this a game? It's not really a game. It's more of a learning tool. And it's a learning tool almost like you're learning a foreign language. So this is just seeing how well I know Q. It's just going to say Q over and over again. Oh, wait. What was that one? Oh, that was the number 7? Yikes. So it would take a lot of patience, but it would be helpful, and I can understand why they didn't port this over to the Magnavox Odyssey in North America. It stayed over in Europe. Oh, right, and you remember nothing about it. But teaching Morse code, this is not the first. There was another one that was available for the Commodore PET previously, so it's not the very first one we've ever seen, but it's still very, very unique and rare if you wanted to learn Morse code. Of all the games you could play right now across all home consoles, though, that's pretty much all I'm going to give you for Morse, unless you want to hear dun 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 dun. That's Morse code for SOS, because that's probably what you'll call out after playing it. Of all the games right now that you could play on all the home consoles, it's not technically a game. It's like a cartridge that's meant to be educational, so I'm actually going to say bad. It does do the job well, and it does work well as an educational game, but as far as all the other games out there, I'd say 1.5 stars. Bad game because it's barely a game. It's almost like application software. I know, right? Because it's not really a game. But since we consider most of the games on home consoles all games, it gets tricky, especially whenever Bally Astrocade and other consoles come out with the basic cartridge, and how are you supposed to rate the basic cartridge? All right, so let's press forward to see our next game after this commercial break.
Introducing a better mousetrap. It's Exity's Mousetrap.
Oh, there we go. That's the release we want to see.
And makes everybody happy.
How many of you stay at home playing video games with your cat?
The cat loves to chase the mouse. And best of all, the mouse can turn into a dog and chase the cat.
We last saw this on Atari, and they only showed the ColecoVision version. Yep, there's all of them. The only one we haven't seen yet is in television.
But watch out for the hawk. What's the matter?
It's so real. It is the release of Mousetrap for the ColecoVision. Let's check it out. Starting with the box. Mousetrap. Oh, plays like the real arcade game. Haven't heard that one before. Originally released in the arcades, December 1981 is when we saw it, and then on the Atari VCS on October 1982. Here it is on the ColecoVision, the 9th video game we've played on the brand new console trying to rival Atari. They did as they usually do, they put the arcade cabinet on the front because it's supposed to be high resolution graphics for Mousetrap. Plays, sounds, and scores just like the arcade game. Screenshot on the back. Yep, we control a mouse weaving his way through corridors. The one we played on the Atari wasn't a 1-to-1. It was more of a, you can only push the red button on your Atari VCS joystick to open one gate, but this one has all of them. Looks like all the colors from the arcade. Let's see how it stacks up. So here's the artwork for Mousetrap. I really enjoy Exidy. If you did get this in PAL regions, this is the front of the box in Europe. Published by CBS Electronics. That front of the box looks way more action-packed, and look at our mouse. He is jacked. Whatever one you prefer, but they're pretty cool. There's the back of the box in Europe. 1 or 2 players, multiple screens, 4 skill levels, and they show, I think it's the same maze. It appears to be, right? No, it is slightly different, so they are switching up the maze, and they show it on the back. Nice touch. This is by Coleco, and it is the 25th game that we've played by Coleco Industries. Total, across every system that's out there. This is one of the rare Coleco games that requires an overlay on the controller. Coleco has done what like Intellivision does, where they have the number pad, but most of the games didn't have an overlay. This is the second game we've played that you have to have the overlay to play, after Ken Ustin's Blackjack. Just very, very strange and rare, because if you look at the controller for the ColecoVision, it doesn't look like it has an indentation for overlays like the Intellivision does. But there you go. You got to have it to know the gates to open up and to push the dog button. Oh, I know. It's such a good system, but it came out when all the other systems were flooding the market. Yeah, there you go. That's the example of the controller and system for the ColecoVision. And this is by Exidy. This is the 24th game that we've seen by Exidy across all systems. On consoles, Exidy has only done Venture and Mousetrap, the one we saw on the Atari. But everything else we've seen has been on computers or the Exidy Sorcerer or in the arcades. There it is, Mousetrap, with example of the screenshot. I know, right? It has really not anything to do with the board game, at least to my knowledge. Here's the manual for Mousetrap. It is 1 to 2 players, but it is arcade hot seat. You don't get to play at the same time. And the cartoon graphics look great because that's what they're trying to go for in the game. I love it. Game description: it is the fun-filled arcade game Exidy's Mousetrap. Played it's cheese-chomping mouse because it's really close to Pac-Man. You know, going on the maze, instead of picking up dots, you're meant to pick up little pieces of cheese. Here's our setup for the ColecoVision. RF plugging into the television. Oh, I love it. Brings back lots of memories. And there it is, the overlay. You got to make sure you have that to play. If you don't, you're going to be guessing which gates work or don't work. You're going to have a really crazy time. So the control stick does move you around. And you have, here we go, a great example of the screenshot explaining what all the places are. The bones that can turn you into a dog in the game are represented by X's. And the more you pick up, then the more times you can turn into a dog. So it is Pac-Man, but rather than going to a certain place and once you get the power-up in that place of the maze, this one is you are holding the power-ups and you decide when to use them. That's the big thing. Plus, it has the use of gates for the game. And remember, on the ColecoVision, we've already played Ladybug, which is really close again to Pac-Man, but that one had the rotating gates. Yeah, this explains the cat and mouse. And then the hawk, if you do skill levels 2, 3, and 4, beware of them that fly around. Yikes. And there's our scores. You got to know what the scores are here in November 1982. Mark them down, memorize them, and then keep playing for the high score. Great cartoonish artwork. Manual very well done for Coleco. Everything, most of the games we've seen for ColecoVision has been top-notch. They have come out of the gates doing some great games. All right, so let's pop in and play some Mousetrap by Coleco and Exidy in the beginning of November 1982. Awesome. One of the very first ones we got was Zaxxon on the ColecoVision. It is way too good. And this one just makes me feel, again, like it's the arcade, or very close to the arcade. Oh, I know. I don't know if the Intellivision is going to do that either. We'll have to see, Chiptune. All right, so let's go with skill level 1. It was like a delay. I wonder if it was one. All right, sorry, we're in. I'm playing as the blue mouse on the screen, and I'm actually going to raise this up just a tad. There we go. And you can see we have the cheese I'm able to pick up, the X's pick up, and the top of the screen is letting me know how many dogs I can summon or use. Oh, and I didn't push it fast enough. There's my gate there, and then there's my dog. Once you use the dog, then you can go eat the cats. Very similar to Pac-Man and the Ghosts. So the first experience is not as impressive as Ladybug. It's still really close. Ladybug was almost, it felt like 1-to-1 with the arcade. This one is still utilizing it much better than we played on the Atari. It only had one gate. This one actually has all the colors of the gate, and you can push it down. And then you do have, but the hawk can still get you if you're the dog, so you have to dodge that one if you select that game mode. It does have the warp too. If you go to the center of the screen and you go in where it says in, then it warps you randomly to one of the four corners. So it's kind of like the Pac-Man way that you would warp from one side of the screen to the other. It's a little bit different than that. All right, let's go in again. All right, so there it is. I got the yellow gate. I got my dog to use that I can eat this cat right there. Nice. And they even have the cheese around the outside as if you're going to pick up the cherries or the fruit from Pac-Man. So lots of homages that make this one a classic from the arcades and kind of make you feel like you're playing... Oh, we're going to take care of lots of cats here. Music's done very well. It's also kind of intense, the way that they... Oh, that was a little cheap. The cat just jumps out. Alright, so let's try again. Go here. And you can manipulate the gates, change them up. When you complete a whole maze, you have a nice little song that comes in, and then you go on to the next one. So while Ladybug felt like it was a stronger release, this one actually feels like I'm hitting the corners a little harder. Like it's not as smooth as whenever I was playing Ladybug. At least when you think of it like a top-down maze game. This one, as Pac-Man variants, here on the show we played, this is our 127th Pac-Man game across all systems. We are going to see this game later on the Intellivision in 1983, and so right now, there's many ways that this is better than Atari as far as being closer to the arcade, but the control of the Atari one was actually really good. Like this control feels like when I hit the corners, it's snagging just a little bit. Yeah, like right there, I did it again. Something feels like it's just not as smooth, but that's really kind of a nitpick. I did enjoy playing the one on Atari, even though it was a little bit easier. There's me using the warp to go to one of the four corners, and it's just completely random how it works. Nice, and we got a bonus mouse for that one. Awesome. And look at that, they switched up the music too. So great, high quality. It still is a fantastic game to play, especially if you want something that's close to the arcade. They're giving me lots of power-ups, so now I just gotta watch out for that hawk. Go to the warp there. You can see I don't even need to use much of the gates if I don't want to, but I have them ready if I need to pass through. And we are wrecking them. So the other thing, too, that you might complain about is the amount of variations. So there's only just barely even a handful of mazes. It's more of the difficulty of what's going to be on screen. If you're going to have the hawk there or not, or how many enemies are going to come on screen, that kind of thing. Yeah. That's right, Chiptune. We still haven't seen that one yet, but we will. There you go, a quick taste of Mousetrap for the ColecoVision. In Majority of the ways, this is an improvement over what we saw on the Atari. This is a lot closer to playing in the arcade, and I understand it scores the same way. The only thing that I had to complain about is sometimes the corners felt a little bit like they were catching onto something, but I mean, it's a really nitpick. We rated the Mousetrap on the Atari 3.5 stars of all the games across all home consoles, and we rated Ladybug 5 because of how good it is. It's a very, very well done game. Looking over the chat, I see lots of above averages for everything you could play across all home consoles. 3.5s, yeah, 4. Yeah, that's a good point, Manly. The music is really what sets this apart from other games on home consoles right now. ColecoVision, because it's similar video and architecture for something like the Texas Instruments home computer, it's very good. Yeah, so I'm actually going to say 4. You still have a good time. What would put this over the edge is if it was multiplayer. You could play 2 people at the same time on the maze. And we've seen that, but most of them have been on home computers. All right, after that, let's see what our next game is after another commercial break.
A day in the life of a Commodore 64.
Oh, all right. Let's go to work. Oh, got math too. Nice. What game was that? Oh, nice. Oh, I think that was the soccer game that he was playing. And then music. And of course, Mom has to do something with cooking. A planet game. Lots of educational games. Whoa, go to bed, Dad.
Commodore 64. Once you get it, you'll wonder how you got.
There you go. That's right. It's kicking. It's very, very new still. This is the Commodore 64, and we're going to play some Night Driver. Let's check it out. This one, I couldn't find any actual footage or artwork that's official. Everything that I found for Night Driver on the Commodore 64 looks like this. So I don't know if this is real or if this is a fabrication. It really looks like it's not the real thing. Night Driver we originally saw in the arcades in October 1976, and then we saw it officially on the Atari 2600 in 1980. On the ZX81, there was an unofficial version of Night Driver in May 1982, and so this is the first official game since then, at least to my knowledge, brought to us by Atari. Atari helped work this with Commodore. And this is the 34th game we played on the Commodore 64. Front of the box, if it is the real front of the box, is pretty good. I still think this is a reconstructed box, not the original. I like the actual scan so you can get an idea of what it's like. Yeah, I don't think it's a real box. I think it's something that someone fabricated. All right, let's pop in and play some Night Driver. This is by HAL Laboratory and Atari in the beginning of November 1982. And that's right, you heard it correctly, HAL Laboratory, as in HAL, who did Super Smash Bros. Later. But I'll pretend I don't know what that is. We're going to ignore the cracked version in the beginning there. This is HAL Laboratory's 21st game we've played so far on the show. And this is the 4th game they've done for the Commodore 64. HAL's done a lot of work for Commodore behind the scenes, at least programming. I don't know who specifically did this one. I would love to know who worked on this one, because I'm sure we played something really close on the Commodore Max machine, and this is just the port they brought over to the Commodore 64. All right, so you can see the front of the screen is going through kind of an attract mode. We can use the joystick on the Commodore 64. We can also use the paddle on the Commodore 64. And this is a one-player only game. It's based on the arcade, the first-person driving experience. And you can even use the keyboard if you want to. All right, you ready? Set? Let's go. Hold it down, accelerate, and then watch me crash. Yes. It gets intense. It gets so fast. I should have plugged in a paddle. Yeah, this plays really similar to the one we played on Commodore Max Machine. It was called Road Race. This is a first-person racing driving game, if you want to call that its own genre. And this is the 11th game we played like this on all systems. Oh yeah, it is way better than the Atari 2600 version. Especially when they gave you the joystick or the paddle. Oh, see that one? I just drifted to the right. Feels like almost like I'm driving on ice for some of them. Everything that we've done with these kind of racing games, for home computers, the games that are out there, there's really only a few. There was one of the best ones was International Grand Prix for the Apple II. I would say that's still the top of the top with its game options and how well it plays. Gosh, look, it feels so fast. I haven't even hit the turn yet. Oh, man, it's crazy. And then Road Race we played on the Commodore Max Machine and the Commodore VIC-20. So this one really feels like it's just Road Race brought to the Commodore 64, but they must have got the license from Atari to actually call it Night Driver. And then on the Commodore PET, we played a game called Night Drive, and then the ZX81 had the game Night Driver, which is the unofficial one. Whoa! I know, Curtis. I thought about that myself. When we play games that are arcade games from the 70s now, even if it's a well-done port, what would you consider that game? Would it be a fun experience right now in November 1982? Or would you look at it and be like, this is old. It's old games for old people. And remember, you don't have to accelerate the whole time, but whoa, you really got to keep your eye on those pylons. It comes in so fast. But it's so much fun. Oh, that's right, Speed Freak. That was another one in the arcades. Yeah, the arcade had a lot of these versions. Speed Freak was the one that was done with vector graphics, right? That was really, really good. Easy now, easy. And so the home computer didn't have too many. Most of the other ones we saw were either consoles. Well, I think only one on the console, but then the rest were in the arcade. But the presentation for this one's good. It's another very well done port. HAL Laboratory has done some great stuff for the Commodore systems. In fact, I would argue that because of what HAL Laboratory did for Commodore, it's one of the reasons why their games were very, very good. Most of the best games so far on Commodore VIC-20 and, well, Commodore Max Machine's kind of the outlier, but Commodore VIC-20 and then Commodore 64, these early ones, is because of HAL Laboratory. And then they are going to jump ship to some of the other Japanese computers because this was available before the Japanese computer revolution. Right now, this Commodore 64 is still really, really new. Oh, that's a good point, yes. Yeah, I like the odometer at the bottom, too. It is smooth. Oh my gosh. And then it just resets itself. Looked like it had a little garbage on the odometer for a second. But still fun. I really enjoyed it when we first saw it in the arcades, and it's still a blast to play. Now, for your enjoyment, you can see it's a one-player only game. You'd have to take turns to see how far you could go, how many kilometers you can make in the game, and then you have to memorize the turns of where the left and... Oh, man. I'm like, I almost feel myself leaning to the left and right whenever I play it. It's awesome. One of the reasons why I wouldn't rate these first-person games so highly is because when we played the games, the 3D skiing game on the TRS-80 color computer, it kind of opened my mind to what computers could really do, or the other first-person style games we played so far on home computers have been very, very impressive. And so that's why I really want to rate this any higher than you're getting the experience from the arcade, and you'd have fun with this, but I still wouldn't see this as something that would blow you away. There we go, nice and easy. Got the time extension going after the 8 kilometers. Can you survive? Watch the turn there. Whoa! There you go. So that's a quick taste of Night Driver for the Commodore 64. So there's really not too many first-person driving games that you could play out there on all systems. Here on the home computer, though, I would find this a novelty. I would say this is good. There's nothing really good about it, really bad. Yeah, no, there's nothing crazy manly like that. So I actually agree. 3 stars of all the games you could play. I see mostly averages in the chat too, 3-ish, 3.5, 2.5. We're actually somewhere around this range is what I'm seeing, but I'm going to go right down the middle. 3 stars for Night Driver. It's fun. You would enjoy it. And it's pretty average for all the games you could play across all home computers. Alright, our video game playing must be put on pause. But fear not, we will continue our quest playing every single video game in order of release. We've only scratched the surface of November 1982, and we got a lot more games to go. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, it is the official launch of Atari's newest home console. Will it really be the super system to rival the Atari 2600? Tune in and to find out as we play 3 of the games you could have played at launch. That's it for today, and like I always say, if you only knew the power of the Atari 2600. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.